Welcome back to the program. With only 6 days to go until election preference deals are in the spotlight. This week we saw Pauline Hanson's One Nation and the Coalition do a deal on preferences after a 30-year how-to-vote card standoff. To talk about it is One Nation Chief of Staff James Ashby. James, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for coming on the program. Tell us a bit more about this deal, what's behind it, and what was the motivation for the change here?
Well, James, there was actually no deal. It's just a common sense decision that One Nation took to the Queensland state election, where we said from the very get-go we're putting Labor and the Greens last, and that seems to work very well in the state, and I couldn't see any other way forward. We don't see any merit in giving Labor a second-term government, so after the destruction they've caused after this last 3 years, we just made a principled decision to put Labor and the Greens last. Now, I'm assuming the Liberal Party made the same conscious decision to say, well, we don't want to see Labor and the Greens back in either. So therefore, the only rightful choice was to put somebody at number 2 who shares similar values. And that's where One Nation come into the picture. So there's no official deal. It just appears on paper that way. That's all.
Fair enough, fair enough. And I want to just, go to some of these specific seats here, particularly Hunter, where I've seen polling in the electorate of Hunter, which says that One Nation is going to come in second to Labor after Labor. This seems to be very big news here in that seat, where the Coalition is trying to unseat Dean Repicoli here. Does this put Hunter in play, but also really show One Nation as a force for maybe some of the conservative wing of the Coalition voters that might not necessarily be feeling at home in that territory on their ballot?
Stuart Bonds has been doing an amazing job, nothing short of amazing. And why people like him around the Hunter is he's a real coal miner. And what are the biggest things that the Hunter Valley are losing there? Coal mining jobs and agriculture, because it's been paved over with renewable projects that Labor supporters previously have voted. They may have voted for Labor, but Labor supporters don't want renewables out in the ocean or over prime agricultural land, and they've been ignored by the current member that's there. So Stuart Bonds has been doing remarkably well. He's got a huge social media platform that he's been utilising and getting some really viral content that's not only impacted upon voters in that area, but right across the country as well. So that's a seat to watch. In a two-party preferred system, as you say, James, it appears that it's going to come down to Labor and One Nation, which means preferences from the National Party will come to us, and also, too, from the Libertarians and, for what it's worth, the Trumpets, if they get a vote there as well. So all those preferences are coming to One Nation's way, which puts the Labor candidate, who's only had one term, in a lot of trouble. So watch this space. It could be One Nation's very first lower house seat since the party was formed many, many years ago.
That would be absolutely fascinating. And, I mentioned, too, again before, this idea that this is, One Nation becoming more of a home for conservatives who are a little disaffected with what they see in the Coalition. Going to go back to that Anzac Day controversy around the Welcome to Country and the booing, which, of course, we do not like booing at a Anzac Day service. But Peter Dutton did say this about Anzac ceremonies and Welcome to Countries more generally.
Welcome to Country is an important part of official ceremonies, and it should be respected. And I don't agree with the booing, and I don't agree in our democracy that people can't accept the views of others.
A lot of conservatives I speak to, voters, just say they were put off a bit by the idea that the Welcome to Country is a part of a dawn service, as said by Peter Dutton there. What do you think about that, and what do you say to people who say, well, look, the booing is bad, we don't like who did it, but we need to have a change in the conversation about this?
Well, I think what Peter Dutton is missing here is that the majority of people don't respect Welcome to Country. Yes, we should respect Anzac Day, and I don't think the protests that happened not only in Melbourne but also where we were for Anzac Day here in Perth, there was another one there, and I think at other services too, people are not happy with the Welcome to Country. By all means, do not protest on Anzac Day, but the discussion needs to be had, because at the end of the day, we don't need this playing out year after year after year. And we're seeing these protests on Australia Day from Indigenous people, a day we all respect as Australians, the majority of people in this country respect.
James Ashby?
But I don't think we need to play tit for tat.
I think you're right there. We got to leave it there. James Ashby, good luck on the night Saturday. I think you could have a big one on Saturday night. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for joining me on Campaign.